In our Buddha's time, there was a monk who lived at the Chetavana Monastery. He was well known for his sweet voice and skill in giving Dhamma desanas, or Dhamma sermons. However, he was very short, had dwarfish features, a short neck, and was hunchbacked. One day, 30 monks from the countryside traveled to the Chetavana Monastery in order to meet the Venerable Lakuntaka Bhattiya. But they had only heard of his sweet voice and skill in giving the Dhamma desanas, and not of his appearance. When they arrived at Chetavana, the monks came across Lakuntaka Bhattiya Thera. Mistaking him for a novice, they pulled his ears, pinched his cheeks, and tickled him as an adult would tease a child. The monks then went to the Buddha to pay their respects. They asked after the famous monk Lakuntaka Bhattiya Thera. They said, "Venerable Sir, we have traveled a long way to meet the great Lakuntaka Bhattiya, but have yet to find him here at the monastery." The Buddha then responded, "You have already met the one you seek." "But the only person we have met is that novice." The Buddha then said, "The monk you mistook for a novice and harassed was the Arahant Lakuntaka Bhattiya that you seek." The monks were speechless. They asked, "How is it that someone with the paramitas of an Arahant was born in such an undesirable state?" Lakuntaka Bhattiya's past karma from when he was born as a king led to his being harassed in this rebirth. After the monks asked, the Buddha told this story from the past. In the past, when King Brahmadatta reigned in Benares, he exhibited a quirk. For some reason, he thought elderly people and animals were hilarious when they were distressed. For his personal entertainment, the king would gather old animals and force them to perform tricks for him. He found it hilarious when the elderly animals struggled and failed. Instead of feeling compassion for the struggling animals, the king focused on how funny the animals looked. Laughing at the spectacle gave him great mischievous pleasure. He valued his own happiness, disregarding the obvious suffering of others. His mischievousness was not limited to animals. He put on similar shows with elderly people. When the elderly attempted to perform the tricks, many of them fell down and were badly injured. The sons and daughters of the elderly had no choice but to send them away from the kingdom, where they would be out of the mischievous king's reach. But the elderly ended up out of their children's reach as well. Many sons and daughters felt ashamed that they were now unable to take care of their parents. The elderly had no choice but to start their own village without the help of their sons and daughters. Their weak bodies could not handle such demanding work, and they suffered greatly. The king's friends were just as mischievous. They liked to seek pleasure at the expense of others. They were desensitized to the pain that it caused. They justified it as their right due to their power, wealth, and influence. They physically abused their servants, took whatever they wanted, and used their influence to bend others to their will. The people of Kosala and their runaway parents were furious at the king for his mistreatment. The people who died at this time were reborn in hell because of their intense anger and hatred towards the king and his cronies. And because the king's friends spent their time tormenting and taking advantage of others, they were also reborn in hell. Hell became more and more crowded with each passing day. Because of the king's actions, very few people who died at the time were reborn in heaven. Sokka noticed that heaven had become barren. Sokka focused his divine eye towards what was happening in the human world. It seems that King Brahmadatta is a major cause of this issue. His mischievous actions led to great chaos. With this, Sokka decided to intervene. One day, the king was out looking for more old people he could use for entertainment. Descending to the human world, Sokka transformed himself into an old merchant and approached the king with a cart filled with barrels of oil. However, using his powers, Sokka made it so that only the king could see him. When the king saw Sokka, the king said,
"Stop that old merchant. I want to see him perform flips for me."
However, the soldiers were confused because they did not see anyone who fit that description. Sokka then floated into the air above the king, which made the king cry out,
There, in the sky! The old man is in the sky! Bring him down here. I want to see him dance. Get him!
The soldiers looked around, confused. The king yelled,
Old man, come down here. It is your job to entertain me. Do as I say, I am the king. You must obey me.
Sokka then responded,
Ah, great king. I see you enjoy a particular type of entertainment. Let me see if I can entertain you. Let's see how funny this is.
Sokka then levitated a barrel full of sticky oil above the king's head and poured it all over him. This enraged the king.
How dare you do this to me? I am the king. I demand your respect. You call this entertainment? This is not funny to me. How is pouring sticky oil on a king entertaining?
Sokka then transformed into his celestial form and pulled out a crackling thunderbolt.
You wicked and unrighteous king. Will you never become old? Are you immune to old age? You are a mere human man, subject to aging like all living beings. Yet you mock and harass others who are old? It is because of you and your callous actions that when men die, they fill the realms of suffering. It is because of your evil and selfish actions that many are not able to care for their parents. Caring for one's parents is a truly honorable and worthy endeavor. Those who repay the kindness of others are rare and valuable in this world. When they die, they are destined for bliss and favorable rebirths. Giving life and the opportunity to learn, generate good merit, and achieve enlightenment is a gift from parents that is not easily repaid. If you do not immediately cease these actions and repent your ways, I will cleave your head asunder with my thunderbolt, for you are a burden unto this world. Henceforth, be a righteous and worthy king. Create no more evil karma, and lead those who follow you towards good actions and away from evil.
From that day forth, the king never again sought to find entertainment in the pain of others. Instead, he focused on being mindful of the consequences of his actions and led his people in doing good actions and merit. At the end of the Jataka, the Buddha saw that those listening were ready and preached the blessed Dhamma, after which many of the people in attendance became enlightened at their deserved levels. The world lives under the truth of Kamma. All actions have consequences. We are the owners of our actions. We are the heir to our actions. We are born due to our past actions. We are related to others through our actions. We live dependent on our actions. Whatever we do, good or evil, we will fall heir to their consequences. Just like Venerable Lakuntaka-Patia's harassment this life was a result of his harassing others in his past life. The Buddha then concluded the Jataka, saying, "In those days, the Venerable Lakuntaka-Patia was the mischievous king, and Saka was none other than I, myself." The Venerable Lakuntaka-Patia also told a story to explain why he was short and had dwarvish features. In the time of the Buddha Kassapa, once the Buddha and all his disciples had already realized Nibbana, Lakuntaka-Patia Thera was born as the king's chief architect. The people wanted to build a grand chaitya, or stupa, to hold the Buddha's relics. They wanted the chaitya to be 7 yochana high and 7 yochana wide. They wanted a grand structure that would represent what the Buddha meant to them and his value to the world. However, the royal architect's mind was concerned about practicality. He said, "What about the people in the future? How will they fix a structure so large? How will people clean a structure so massive? This is not practical." The people agreed with him, and they proposed 6 yochana. He said it wasn't practical. Then 5 yochana, 4 yochana, 3 yochana, and then 2 yochana. The head of construction then said, "1 yochana is already massive enough." When he died, the architect went to Tawa Timsa heaven due to the merit he made by building a massive structure in reverence to the Buddha. However, owing to the karma he had made by preventing others from making the merit they wished to make, and by setting limits on the value of a Buddha, who is limitless, he was reborn as short and hunchbacked, with a short neck, arms, legs, and a potbelly. Thus concludes the story about the Venerable Lakuntaka-Patia, who was the foremost of the Buddha's disciples who had a sweet voice. What did you learn from this story? Let us know in the comments. We hope you enjoyed the video. Click like if you did, and click subscribe if you want to see our uploads. And consider making a donation to support our Buddhist animation project.